Hello indie game fans, some of you may not know that I have an official website at thebestindigames.com where there's a handy contact form for indie developers to share their games, so here's a roundup of some games that I found to be of interest. Let's begin with Neon Tail, an open-world roller skating 3D platformer from a Taiwanese developer looking to evoke Jet Set Radio. I believe I did cover this way back when at its early access launch in 2019, but the developers have been hard at work since then, listening to the community and putting out one update after the next. They've recently released a major update in September, revamping a large chunk of the game and adding new features like a new district, the ability to skate up slopes and more. Honestly, it's not the most visually impressive game that I have seen, but the Jet Set Radio-like is not easy to come by these days, so I do hope that these developers can continue to polish up the game and wish them all the best in development. The chaos of a local multiplayer game can be really fun with friends, and add to that the absolutely adorable character designs of Zoo Squad, and you certainly have my attention. It's a party brawler title where you're trying to attack your opponents, avoiding the traps and hazards while participating in a variety of mini-games. Animation does look to be a little stiff, so let's see if this will hold up as compared to the greats in the genre. This video is brought to you by the Sin Collector Repentless, a gorgeous visual novel RPG that is set in the biblical apocalypse. Where the best part is that this is available right now. You play as a sin collector, appointed by the heavens to come down to earth to clear up the world of sinners, executing debtors and bringing about the apocalypse. It does have some gorgeous art, as seen in these screenshots, and as a visual novel, the script itself is the length of a fairly decently sized book, so there is plenty of content. In fact, this is based on a series of books by Mikhail Gokowski, I hope I pronounced that right, which have been fairly well received on sites like Goodreads. Music and sound effects do also contribute to the epic scale of this story, where this game serves as some sort of warm-up for developer Silent Studio, whose next project is another game in the Sin Collector universe, making this of interest. First-person platforming can be a tricky thing to get right, but the developers making Strawhart looks to have it nailed down, being a first-person action puzzle game that looks to have elements of Portal and Prince of Persia. Funnily enough, you're trying to build a cult and to resurrect an ancient evil, so I do suppose you're playing as the villain, but the puzzles and aerial maneuvers in particular look quite challenging. In addition to the linear puzzles, there are some open-world exploration elements where you're able to get off the beaten path and to find secrets, collectibles, and bonus objectives, all wrapped up with some pretty visuals as well. Another local multiplayer game that got my attention is Fishards, firstly due to the look, and secondly, since the description of this game named Magicka and Battle Right as inspirations. It has you playing as two-legged fish wizards, combining various elemental magic into spells, and having to manually target and fire off these skill shots, which of course should lead to some chaotic fun. I do wonder how much variety there is here in terms of spells, levels and mechanics, where again, this is available right now on Steam, so go pick this up. While early access first-person survival games are a dime a dozen on Steam, Blind Descent got my attention since it does look pretty good and has a unique setting, as compared to some of the other horrendous-looking projects that I have seen. It is set in the Martian underground, where apparently a thriving alien ecosystem has formed from lush tropical jungles, deep rocky caverns, and of course the alien fauna. It does have co-op support for up to 4 players, with a home and shelter building element as well, but I certainly see potential in this game, perhaps even on the level of something like Subnautica, making me pretty excited about this. Within the opening seconds of this trailer, if you've been playing indie games for a while, I'm sure that you will know exactly what this game is, since Love 3 is the third entry in the series of minimalist precision platformers, where one of the main mechanics is that you're able to place your own checkpoints. Despite the simple look, this is one of the best entries in the subgenre, but this game does include levels from the first 2 as well, making this the addition to pick up next month. Let's kick off the top 3 with Plushie from the Sky, which is, believe it or not, a Souls-like game of all things. It has you wielding the titular plushie as your main weapon, using it to battle all manner of enemies and bosses, and even has upgrades that can transform it in various ways. One interesting aspect that I noticed is the availability of ranged weapons, but there are the expected dodges, blocks and parries as well. Interestingly, it does come to us from a Singaporean developer, so of course I had to show my support. The concept of swinging around an object on a chain is a tricky one to get right in games, since the physics and momentum must be on point, and a game that is tackling that is Skull Chains, a good-looking action roguelite where you are swinging around a massive skull and using it to bludgeon your enemies. You are attempting to escape from hell, which of course means a bunch of demons in the way, with what appears to be roguelite style upgrades for every run as you try to get an overpowered build. As such, it's a neat take on the arcade action title, and just so happens to be from a Singaporean developer as well. One of the trippiest games that I have seen in quite a long time is Ponder, a Metroidvania that is supposed to be without combat and puzzles, simply having good vibes. The look of this does remind me of Hylics to some extent, but the psychedelic colours and weird creature designs are simply a trip. The non-combat portion is what intrigues me, where I'm also curious as to how exploration will work in this game, so let's see if they manage to pull it off, taking the number 1 spot. For more Metroidvania games, watch these videos and I will see you after the jump.